911, where's your emergency?
My boyfriend's son has been shot and killed.
When did that happen?
I don't know.
You don't want to try CPR, correct?
No, he's dead. He's cold.
Just moments after this frantic 911 call, the police rushed to the scene.
My boyfriend's house is his dad's house.
Where's the dad?
He's at work. He's on his way.
Okay, ma'am, come over here.
As the officers entered the crime scene, they met with a gruesome sight. A lifeless body, cold and still, lying just inches from the door. At first, the killer thought he had planned the perfect murder and could get away with it easily. But then, a single clue brought the case crashing back into the detective's hands. February 26, 2018 started like any other day. That evening, Patrick called his girlfriend Jessica before bed, promising to call her again the next day. But that call never came. On February 27th, Patrick's father, Max de la Cerda, received an unexpected call from a courier. The delivery man explained he had a parcel for Patrick, but no one answered the door, and Patrick wasn't picking up his phone. Max's number was listed as a backup, and the courier sensed something was off. Max, unable to leave work, called Jessica. She revealed she had been trying to reach Patrick all morning with no luck. Panic set in for Max. He immediately asked Shannon, his girlfriend, to check on him. Dropping everything, Shannon rushed to Patrick's house. Patrick's car was in the driveway when she arrived, signaling he should be home. Grabbing her spare key, she called out to him, but all was silent. As she stepped inside, she froze in terror. Patrick's lifeless body lay near the entrance, surrounded by a pool of blood. Max's girlfriend Shannon called 911, urging authorities to hurry.
911, where's your emergency?
My boyfriend's son has been shot and killed.
When did that happen?
I don't know.
You don't want to try CPR, correct?
No, he's dead. He's cold.
Within minutes, the police arrived at a grim scene. Patrick had been shot 4 times, his body bearing the brutal marks of violence. The news of Patrick's murder spread quickly through Deltona, a city unaccustomed to such gruesome crimes. The tragedy shook the community, leaving residents gripped by the mystery of who could commit such a heinous act. After examining the crime scene, detectives were convinced Patrick's murder was no accident or robbery. No valuables were missing, and the evidence pointed to one chilling motive: murder. Patrick's body had bruises consistent with falling down the stairs, leading detectives to believe the killer was lying in wait on the 2nd floor. When Patrick went upstairs, he was shot in the thigh, causing him to tumble down the staircase. The killer then followed and shot him 3 more times, once in the chest and twice in the head, ensuring Patrick wouldn't survive. The murder weapon was missing, but ballistics revealed it was a rare and hard-to-find pistol. Detectives recovered 3 shell casings, 1 upstairs and 2 downstairs, but the 4th casing was gone. Could the killer have taken it as a trophy? With no fingerprints, shoe prints, or DNA evidence left behind, the case seemed meticulously planned. Investigators decided to start by questioning Patrick's neighbor, a man with a history of violence and mental illness. The neighbor, a U.S. Army veteran, had mistaken Patrick for a burglar just months before and fired at him, though no one was hurt. Following the incident, the man was hospitalized for mental health treatment, but upon his return, he started obsessively following Patrick, accusing him of being a spy. Detectives believed he might have had the skill, motive, and access to carry out the crime. When questioned, the neighbor openly admitted his hatred for Patrick, but insisted he wasn't home the day of the murder, a claim confirmed by multiple witnesses. With no evidence tying him to the crime, the police had to move on. Desperate for leads, investigators reviewed everything from the crime scene again. That's when they noticed something alarming. The hard drive storing CCTV footage were missing. Whoever planned this had erased every trace of their presence. It was a premeditated, flawless execution. Patrick de la Cerda was born in 1992 in Miami, Florida, into a family with rich roots. His father, Max de la Cerda, came from Spain, and his mother, Patricia Rons, grew up in France. The couple married in the late 80s and moved to the United States, where they started their new life. Patrick grew up watching his father excel in construction, a field he was passionate about. After finishing high school, Patrick decided to follow in his father's footsteps and pursue a career in construction. After 25 years of marriage, Patrick's parents decided to divorce while he was in university. The split was peaceful and the family stayed close despite the changes. Patrick's mother, Patricia, moved to Deltona, Florida and remarried, while Patrick chose to stay with his father and continue working in construction. Even with the distance, Patrick kept a strong bond with his mother, visiting her often and sharing updates about his life. One evening in June 2017, after reluctantly joining a dating app at a friend's insistence, Patrick was scrolling through profiles when one caught his attention. She was a beautiful brunette with big eyes and a radiant smile, Jessica Devnani. They hit it off instantly, chatting casually and exchanging numbers soon after. Jessica, born in Orlando and working at a local bank, was equally drawn to Patrick. Their nightly phone calls turned into deep conversations, and soon they made plans to meet. Despite living in different parts of Florida, they met halfway, and Patrick knew right away that Jessica was the one. After their first date, Patrick couldn't wait to tell his mother that he'd found the girl of his dreams. Their long-distance relationship blossomed with weekend visits and late-night calls. As their bond deepened, Patrick knew it was time to take the next step. In December 2017, Patrick, eager to start a life with Jessica, decided to move to Deltona. He bought a house near his mother's place and began preparing it to welcome Jessica. However, she couldn't leave her job immediately to move in with him. On New Year's Eve, Jessica stayed the night at Patrick's new home. To make the evening unforgettable, Patrick set up fireworks in the backyard. As Jessica admired the glowing sky, Patrick got down on one knee and proposed with a ring. Overwhelmed with joy, she said yes. Patrick revealed he had searched endlessly for the perfect ring, but eventually designed a custom one just for her. In the months that followed, the couple's family started planning a grand wedding and a housewarming party for spring 2018. They debated hosting the celebration by the Atlantic Ocean in Miami or at Patrick's mother's home in Deltona. Everything seemed perfect, with Patrick and Jessica eagerly looking forward to their future. But destiny had other plans. After hours of dead ends, the detectives were frustrated. The case wasn't getting any closer to being solved, and they were running out of leads. In a final attempt, they turned to Jessica, the last person they hadn't fully questioned. To their surprise, she didn't hesitate. Her eyes met theirs with a sharp look, and she said, "I know who killed Patrick." The room fell silent. The detectives leaned forward, sensing they were about to hear something big. Who, they asked, barely able to breathe. Jessica took a deep breath and said, "Gregory Bender." Her words hit like a bomb. Gregory Bender, her ex-boyfriend, the man who had always been in her life, lurking in the background, never fully letting go. A man who had made her feel trapped. The detectives exchanged shocked looks. This wasn't just any name, this was someone close to her, someone with a history. The question now was, why would Gregory kill Patrick, and how far would he go to cover his tracks? Before Jessica met Patrick on the dating app, she was in a long and complicated relationship with a man named Gregory Bender. Gregory was a wealthy businessman. He met Jessica while she was still in school, and despite being 20 years older, he swept her off her feet with lavish gifts, luxury vacations, and grand gestures. At first, Jessica was completely taken by his charm and wealth. But the glamour quickly faded when Gregory's dark side began to show. He became controlling, dictating her daily life and tracking her every move. Gregory would stalk her, monitor the people she talked to, and eliminate any potential admirers with threats and intimidation. Despite his obsessive control, Gregory refused to share anything about his own life. Their relationship dragged on for 8 years, but Gregory kept Jessica isolated. He never introduced her to his family or friends, and every visit or vacation was on his terms alone. Whenever Jessica asked about visiting his house, Gregory dodged the topic, claiming he was too busy. Jessica longed for a deeper commitment. She told Gregory she wanted to get married and start a family, warning she would leave if he didn't feel the same. Gregory, in response, gave her a ring and promised they'd marry soon. But weeks turned into months, and the promise remained empty. Jessica started sensing that something wasn't right, and soon she would uncover a shocking truth that would change everything. One day, Gregory was in a car accident and ended up hospitalized. When Jessica heard the news, she rushed to check on him. On her way to the hospital, she decided to stop by Gregory's house to pick up some clothes and essentials he might need. As she approached the house, she noticed someone was home. Assuming it might be Gregory's parents, she rang the doorbell. But when the door opened, Jessica found herself face to face with a woman she had never seen before. Confused, Jessica asked who she was, but the woman turned the question back on her. Trying to clear up the situation, Jessica showed the ring Gregory had given her, saying she was his fiancé. To her shock, the woman burst into laughter and said, "You must be mistaken. I'm Gregory's wife, Damara Sanchez Bender." Jessica was stunned. For over 8 years, Gregory had lied to her, hiding his marriage the entire time. Heartbroken and furious, Jessica ended the relationship immediately, but Gregory refused to let her go.
My wife got angry at me. She said she was going to get back at me and at you because she's pissed off about this whole situation with Damara. That was in a intimate way at all. It was just a roommate type of thing. And I needed my wife's income, and she agreed to do that in order to get her kid to go to school over here instead of in Claremont. So it was a business relationship.
He begged, pleaded, and promised to divorce his wife and marry Jessica.
Till the end of the year to leave her, and he said he would leave her, so he still wasn't leaving her, and I couldn't take it anymore, so I told him I want to leave you.
Reluctantly, Jessica gave him one last chance, but as the weeks passed, it became clear that nothing was going to change. Tired of being lied to and treated like a secret, Jessica ended things for good. Determined to find real love, Jessica moved on, and that love finally came when she met Patrick. She warned Gregory to stay out of her life, cutting all contacts with him. But Gregory wasn't ready to let go, and what he planned next would turn Jessica's life into a nightmare. At first, Gregory tried to win Jessica back with desperate pleas, once again promising to divorce his wife and marry her. But when Jessica stood firm, his behavior turned dark.
He would always threaten me, say, "You can never leave me," stuff like that.
Gregory began sending her threatening texts and harassing her relentlessly.
He called you this morning.
Yeah, on my work phone because he's not allowed to call me, so I got scared. That's when I texted Patrick.
Gregory flooded her phone with aggressive messages, each one more sinister than the last.
I'm making a phone call. I'm giving instructions, and I'm going to have my plan put into action. Call me back and talk to me, or else I'm going to just let it happen.
When his words failed, Gregory crossed another line.
He's going to hire a hitman. When I went over to his house, he had a gun saying he's going to shoot himself or he's going to do something, and I got scared. He wanted to know my every move.
He started leaving threatening voicemails for Jessica's sister, making it clear the danger was real.
So I sent you the note so you have it. Can you please send that to her tomorrow night when she comes back, or Monday morning when she's coming back? Don't send it over when she's at his place because she'll just erase it. And your sister again, and you let her do this, and you didn't tell me about this. This is going to end. He is going to end. I can't believe you did this. Call me now, or all hell is going to break loose.
He hired hackers to break into Jessica's accounts to monitor her conversations. That's when he discovered Patrick de la Cerda, the man who had unknowingly stepped into Gregory's twisted world.
He had found out about me and Patrick through Facebook. He had found my profile.
Gregory then arranged to meet Jessica under the pretense of a casual talk. She reluctantly agreed, hoping to put an end to his obsession. But during their meeting at a restaurant, Gregory crossed boundaries, touching her hands and thighs. Jessica, disgusted and furious, stormed out. Unbeknownst to her, Gregory had secretly hired someone to film their encounter. He sent the videos to Patrick, hoping to cause a rift between the couple. The plan worked briefly. They broke up, but love brought them back together. When Gregory realized his manipulations had failed, his rage shifted to Patrick. Gregory began sending Patrick threatening messages, demanding he break off the engagement and stop calling Jessica his fiancée. Patrick, however, refused to play Gregory's game. He believed the threats were empty and hoped Gregory would eventually move on. Jessica, however, was terrified. She knew Gregory's wealth and connections made him dangerous. He also had a disturbing obsession with firearms, owning an extensive collection. Fearing for Patrick's safety, Jessica even suggested breaking up to keep him out of harm's way. But Patrick wouldn't hear of it.
It's no big deal. I'm not going anywhere. There's nothing else he can do.
Instead, the couple went to the police, armed with evidence of Gregory's stalking and threats. They managed to obtain a restraining order against him, forcing Gregory to surrender his firearms. For a while, it seemed like peace had returned. To ease Jessica's fears, Patrick installed CCTV cameras in their home. The couple tried to focus on their future, channeling their energy into wedding preparations. Jessica was finally moving on from years of deceit and heartbreak, excited to start a new chapter with Patrick. But Gregory wasn't finished yet. On February 27, 2018, Jessica's world shattered. A call from Patrick's father Max turned her joy into dread. What awaited her at Patrick's house was a nightmare she could never have imagined. Gregory's obsession had spiraled into a devastating endgame. The police were stuck. With no solid evidence and no clear leads, they couldn't make an arrest. That is, until they received an unexpected call from Damara Sanchez Bender, Gregory's wife. She claimed to have crucial information about the case.
Getting close, driving in the car, getting over there, or how many cars are. It was like a plan.
What kind of plan? Like a plan to do what?
I guess to kill.
To kill who?
Patrick.
Damara, who had been planning to divorce Gregory, told detectives that just days before the murder, she had noticed something strange in her husband's office, a notebook filled with a detailed plan of a stranger's house.
Something about go there, I need to remember the clothes, see how many cars are there, take the cell phone and stuff like that. I asked him, and he said it was a fantasy.
Initially, she didn't think much of it, but after seeing the news about Patrick's murder and his home in the reports, Damara's curiosity got the better of her. This lead gave investigators the break they desperately needed. They rushed to Gregory's house and began a thorough search. In his office, they found the notebook exactly as Damara had described. But to their surprise, the pages with the detailed house plan were missing. The police didn't give up, though. They found the torn pages tossed carelessly in a dustbin can right next to the desk. It seemed Gregory was too confident that no one would ever look into his life closely enough. When they examined the pages, investigators were shocked by the meticulous detail. Gregory had been planning this murder for months. He had written notes to himself, things like turning off his phone, wearing gloves, and even lubricating his shoes to avoid leaving any traces behind. It became clear that he knew everything about Patrick's life, his schedule, his home, and even the security cameras surrounding it. Gregory had taken every precaution, thinking he could get away with the perfect crime. But Damara's curiosity had just destroyed his plan. Among the notebook's pages, investigators found the missing fourth shell casing from the crime scene, hidden inside a cigar box on Gregory's table. Forensics confirmed it was the exact match. Even more damning were the strange voice recordings found on Gregory's phone, recordings where he openly discussed his plan to murder Patrick. With all this evidence stacking up, Gregory Bender was arrested for the murder of Patrick de la Cerda.
When I got to work, I put my phone away. So, a couple hours passed at work and his name popped up on the work caller ID. At that moment, I was in shock. Wow, he hasn't contacted me since the restraining order. I got very concerned.
It's the very beginning of the investigation, but I think alarm bells are going off for these seasoned detectives very early on that Gregory Bender needs to be somebody that they look closely at.
Gregory had called Jessica at least twice on the morning of the 28th through the sheriff's office with Volusia County. He was arrested for violation of that injunction.
Or when they get him arrested for this violation of injunction, they know they've got maybe 24 hours till he posts bond. And before he can get back into his house and potentially alter, destroy, conceal evidence. So as that clock's ticking, law enforcement knows they've got to get a judge to say you can legally go into that house and find whatever it is evidence of the crime.
Are you willing to talk to us?
Nope. My attorney says don't talk to police. I follow his advice.
As he awaited his trial, the chilling details of his calculated crime were finally revealed. Before Gregory Bender's sentencing, Jessica Devnani stood just 10 feet away from him in the courtroom, ready to speak about the life she had once dreamed of with Patrick. Patrick was the most loving, caring, and beautiful soul, she began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. He was the life of the party, larger than life itself. He lived every day to the fullest and loved me with all his heart. She paused, taking a deep breath. Patrick and I had plans. We were going to build a life together, a fairy tale. But that dream was stolen from us by the man sitting here today. On Friday, May 28, 2021, Gregory Bender was found guilty of first-degree murder for taking the life of 25-year-old Patrick de la Cerda in 2018. In the Volusia County Courthouse, Circuit Judge Don Nichols sentenced Gregory, 53, to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Gregory remained silent throughout the trial. He didn't testify and showed no emotion when the guilty verdict was read or when the sentence was handed down. Although justice had been served, the loss of such a kind-hearted and loving man left a void in the hearts of everyone who knew Patrick. Jessica, forever carrying the memory of their lost future, wore the custom-made ring from Patrick's parents every day, a symbol of the wedding that would never be. Today's case is truly unsettling and tragic. Now, we want to hear from you. Do you think this case would have gone cold if Gregory's wife hadn't stepped forward with that strange notebook? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video compelling, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, give us a like, and share it with others. And if you have any crime stories you'd like us to cover, feel free to leave a message below. Until next time, stay safe.